with the big talk of the industry being last night's Hell in a Cell match that saw Mick Foley elevating his status in the business to new heights in one performance. WCW 2 weeks from Bash at the Beach continued the build-up to the main event tag match, with Karl Malone set to make his WCW TV debut in a Big Show long angle of him and Paige driving an 18-wheeler to Tampa, Florida, promising to confront Hogan and NWO Hollywood when they get to the building, as Hogan's group was waiting for the arrival with helicopter shots following the truck on the road throughout the show. WCW 7 days from the promoted biggest Nitro in history from its home base in Atlanta, already sold over 25,000 tickets for the show, with the stadium set up for over 35,000 on the day of the event, still advertising the first ever Hogan vs. Goldberg match as an off-the-air special attraction, with talks in the company going on potentially putting it on TV, with Raw on its hottest streak in show history, winning the last 4 weeks. Giant Curt Hennig and Rick Rude came out, with Hennig cutting a promo on Green and Goldberg hyping the match at the pay-per-view, leading to Green coming out with Goldberg following to make the save to a big reaction. Hogan and Bischoff came out for a promo a few minutes from 9 p.m. Hogan said that tonight Malone is gonna take another loss like he did in the NBA Finals, saying that he's going to meet them in the parking lot if they arrive to the building, as Eric said that the NWO are not driving trucks but flying in private jets. Hogan closed the promo saying that he gave Rodman the night off and that the NWO is gonna turn the truck over if they get there in time, as the helicopter shot showed it in Tampa close to the building area to build up the hype, as the Hogan promo ended a minute after the top of the hour, with WCW taking a commercial break and the first quarter featuring the start of the Wolfpack Sting and Lex Luger against British Bulldog and Jim Neidhart for the tag belts. "24 hours after one of the most memorable pay-per-views in history, the WWF was looking to capitalize on the massive intrigue coming out of last night, heavily promoting the pay-per-view encore with Mankind's top of the cage bumps in what will end up being perhaps the most replayed moments in wrestling history, along with the added viewers watching on the night looking to put on a hot show in front of over 17,000 people at the Gund Arena in Cleveland. Vince was out first, introducing new champion Kane and Paul Bearer, with Bearer cutting a promo on how now after all the years it's Taker that is standing in Kane's shadow, bringing out Steve Austin demanding a rematch. Austin said that Taker's chair shot is what caused him to bleed, pushing McMahon and Bearer for the rematch until Kane agreed to set up the main event. Raw opened huge with a 5.4 rating, not only its highest ever opening, but its second joint highest rated opposed segment in history, and the joint second highest opening audience overall, only behind the 5.7 rating for the Goldberg vs. Raven match on April 20th. The second quarter saw WCW jumping big from a 3.6 to 4.3 rating for the Sting and Luger vs. Bulldog and Neidhart tag match, along with Saturn vs. Reese in the same quarter, doing WCW's peak of the night and the closest it came to Raw with less than half a rating point margin. During that quarter, which saw Raw dropping from the massive opening, Steven Regal made his Raw debut in a match against Droz, making his first appearance since signing with the company after getting fired from WCW in March following the Goldberg match, going 5 minutes against Droz with Sable on commentary. When a more normal viewing pattern looking to settle, Raw jumped big, surpassing even the big opening segment, drawing a 5.5 rating between 9:30 to 45, as Ken Shamrock came out for his winning promo a day after going over Rock in the final to win King of the Ring. Shamrock put over Rock as one of his toughest opponents before Owen Hart and Triple H came out to challenge him to a match between 3 of the last 5 King of the Ring winners. The second half of the quarter saw the WWF going in a never-seen-before direction on wrestling television, promoting a shoot tournament when every one of the participants getting bonus payments for every fight along with the opportunity for performers in the middle of the card to stand out, in addition to big intrigue from the office and talent roster as to who will win with the business full of people with legit reputation. The first fight saw Marc Mero vs Steve Blackman in a contest with 2 guys with background in boxing and wrestling, ending up with Blackman scoring with multiple takedowns to win on points, while during the fight the crowd in the building heavily booed with them still not fully aware that it is a shoot competition, which in later fights when things became clear the reaction completely changed, as the concept started with a big positive doing a massive rating. With him out with personal issues since March, Scott Hall's TV return is imminent with him backstage in the building in Tampa, Florida, but was not put on TV to save his return for a planned angle next week, with his return a massive boost for WCW after losing 2 of its top drawing performers in Savage and Flair for different reasons in the last few months. With Hall about to be back, Nash's management dispute continued over the positioning of the Wolfpack on television, and despite being mega hot with their merchandise selling out in every building, made worse when Hall was forced to turn heel on Nash instead of joining him in the Wolfpack, with both expected to be at the Georgia Dome next week for the first time since the tournament. With Raw having a new unique concept on the night with the Brawl For All, WCW also had a new segment promoted throughout the show as NWO Late Hour, with Eric Bischoff hosting a late-night talk show on a similar design set to The Tonight Show, indirectly starting the build-up to Eric's feud with Jay Leno, with the company looking to get more exposure shooting angles in front of a different audience on the NBC show. Eric's first guest was Scott Steiner, talking about the Rodman-Hogan tag match before hyping a surprise co-star in his next project, promising to show up next week in Atlanta. At the same time on USA Raw had the second half of the 13 minutes Shamrock-Owen Hunter 3-way match, jumping to the second highest rated segment of the night, 5.6 rating, with Rock coming out to hit Triple H, leading to Shamrock going over, in a quarter which also featured an Undertaker McMahon segment, with Taker saying that he did what he had to do as he's not gonna let his brother set himself on fire, with Vince warning him not to interfere in the main event tonight. WCW bounced back to a second-hour peak between 10:30 to 45, having the end of the Bischoff Tonight Show segment, Booker calling out Bret Hart and challenging him to a match, Hogan and Bischoff backstage segment talking about Page and Malone on the way to the building, and Bill Goldberg coming out for a match with Glacier. Goldberg went over in a 2-minute match with WCW coming to his hometown of Atlanta, Georgia next week, set to feature the first ever Goldberg-Hogan match as a special attraction to the live crowd after the Nitro broadcast is going off the air, promoted locally as the match you can only see in Atlanta, with the quarter picking up over 800,000 viewers to a 4.1 rating. Raw had the second Brawl For All fight just before the main event, featuring Bradshaw against Henry Godwinn, with the backstory of Bradshaw playing a major role in the creation of the concept after constantly bragging that he can take anybody in the locker room, leading to Russo and McMahon being intrigued to find out and coming up with the idea. After nearly 3 hours of hype for the arrival, Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff came out with the truck shown near the Ice Palace Arena in Tampa, as Hogan called Page and Malone out, thinking they're not there just as the truck entered the parking lot, running off NWO Hollywood and going straight to the ring with chairs to set up the first Hogan-Malone confrontation, ending with Malone slamming Hogan to a huge reaction, closing the show with Page hyping the pay-per-view and both him and Malone calling out Rodman to show up next week in Atlanta. WCW held its audience in the final quarter and the show overall doing a 4.1 rating, indicating that the huge viewership increase on Raw is more a separate returning audience looking to see the pay-per-view follow-up, with WCW hoping to regain momentum with one of the biggest shows in company history planned for next week. Kane and Steve Austin came out 12 minutes from the top of the hour for the pay-per-view title rematch, going 8 minutes in the main event with Austin winning back the belt after 24 hours as the crowd exploded for the title change in one of the biggest reactions in Raw history. The Austin-Kane match jumped over 800,000 viewers to a near-record 5.9 rating, Raw's second highest opposed quarter in history, only behind the McMahon-Austin Tease match on April 13th. With the final 3 minutes of the show going unopposed from 11 to 11:03, jumping over 1 million viewers from already record numbers to an all-time Raw peak 6.9 rating, as the show overall riding huge momentum from the night before won by its highest ever margin of 1.3 rating points, breaking the all-time Monday Night Wars record with a 5.4 rating.